Hey everyone, here's the notes for 3-4. We're going to be talking about long division. So we're going to kind of just skip the explore and reason, but we're going to go straight into the first example for long division. So let's talk about what is long division, okay? So you guys have learned probably about long division in like late elementary, just basically on how to divide with numbers, but now we're going to do it with polynomials. Okay, so how we set this up, we're going to divide p of x by d of x, and then we're going to write our answer in terms of quotient and remainder. So we have our p of x, we have our d of x. So the d of x, or what we call the divisor, so this is called the divisor, that's going to be on the outside of our division bar. Now notice this is going to be a little bit different than our synthetic division for that division bar. Now what goes inside is going to be the p of x. Now notice we start with x cubed. Now, what we're going to have to do is, if there are any missing terms, we're going to have to use 0 as a placeholder. So we start up with x cubed. Now our next one should be an x squared. I see that term, so I just write that 5x squared. Then my next term should be x. Oh, we have that, so I write that. And then my last term should be constant. We do have that. That's a 9. So we did not need to use 0 as a placeholder because we had all of our terms here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, so the first step is we're going to divide the first terms of both polynomials. Okay, so what that means is we're going to take this x cubed and x and we're going to divide it. Now there's 4 steps that we're going to do and we're going to repeat that every single time until we have to stop dividing. So I do x cubed divided by x. I'm going to just put it up here and you may want to write it on your notes. So this gives me x squared. So that x squared is going to go on top. Now the second step is to multiply. So what we're going to do is take this x squared and every term that is on the outside of our division bar, we're going to multiply. So I do x squared times x. Okay, so what that is, that's going to give us x cubed. Notice that we match the very first terms. Then I'm going to do x squared times 3. So that's going to give me plus 3x squared. Now our next thing that we're going to do is subtract the polynomials. So you need to put a subtraction sign. I'm going to do parentheses. Now notice when I do x cubed minus x cubed, those cancel out. Now here's where you got to be careful. Notice we're not going to get an 8x cubed, but instead we're going to get a 2x squared here. Why are we going to get 2x squared instead of 8x squared? Well, notice we have 5x squared minus 3x squared. You have to subtract. So that's how we get 2x squared. Our last step that we're going to do is bring down the next term. So the next term that we have here is going to be a 6x. So we bring that down. Okay, now we repeat the exact same thing. So the first one is we divide the first terms of the polynomials. Now our new first term here is 2x squared, but we still divide by x. So 2x squared divided by x, that will just give us 2x. So I put 2x on the top. Okay, next step is now I'm going to take that 2x and multiply it by my x in the 3. So 2x times x, that should give us 2x squared. And then 2x times the 3 gives us plus 6x. Now I subtract the 2 polynomials. So notice that with my 2x squares, they cancel each other out. Now also 6x minus 6x. Ooh, that also cancels out. So all we're left with here is 0. Our last thing that we need to do is bring down the next term. So our next term is a 9. Okay, let's start it all over again. So now our first term here is 9, and then we have x. Now notice here when I do 9 divided by x, we actually cannot do that. So we can't go through our 4 steps. Instead, we stop dividing, and notice that we have something left over. Whenever you have something left over, this is what we call the remainder. Now, how are we going to write our final answer here? Well, we write the quotient and we add the remainder over the divisor. Now, we already talked about how 9 is the remainder. We also talked about how x plus 3 is the divisor. Well, what is the quotient then? Well, the quotient is actually this x squared plus 2x. That is our quotient. So whatever's on top, that's what we would use. Okay. So how we are going to write this is I'm going to have my x squared plus 2x. That is my quotient. My remainder, we said, was 9. So I do plus 9. Now I place then the remainder on top of the divisor. We said the divisor was x plus 3. And so that's how I write my answer. Okay, make sure you watch the next video. We're going to do long division again with another set of problems.